Ram, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya 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 Ram, Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम 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 ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम 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 ओम Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Pranam, 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 Pranam. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Namaskaram Swami.
Namaskaram, Namaskaram, Namaskaram.
Pranam.
Pranam, Pranam. So yesterday we were reading articles of Papa Mataji and Swamiji and Ramana Bhagavan. Why we were prompted to take up? Because after the 37th chapter in IQG, when Papa was mentioning about the inner struggle he was having, in spite of surrendering so much to the Almighty, still there were some disturbances. And he said that has been brought out in the annexure called In the Cave, Outpourings from the Cave. There he mentioned 3 words: struggle, prayer, experience. Every one of us at one stage or another pass through these 3, knowingly or unknowingly. Especially in the spiritual journey, in all journeys it happens. Struggle will be there right from the moment we were children, to get up, How many times we tried? Every time there was a struggle because a new thing was there. A new thing has to be made a part of our life. So naturally the system has to be trained. So there will be a struggle. But then perseverance on those days, patience, relying on our elders, mother or father. When we are unable to walk, they will say, come on, come on, come on, like that. Similarly, when we started going to the school, when we were finding difficult to absorb or assimilate what has been taught to us, there was any struggle, inner struggle. Again, we ask parents or somebody, to help us. Just start looking back your own life. Every time when we join a company, when we are given a particular job, we don't know anything about it. We would have learned something academically, but actually now it is on the field work, actually on the field. We need guidance. There will be struggle. We may say something. Suppose we are writing a letter, we are on a project. When the academic knowledge becomes an applied knowledge, that means experience, it requires a lot of struggle. And in spiritual journey, it is all the more important that because we are not used to certain types of disciplines, so naturally the struggle will be there. And here we take refuge in our masters, their books of words of wisdom, and if possible, we try to go to them, meet them, place our problem before them. If that is not possible, we pray from the bottom of the heart, We must have had some discipline like praying to an Ishta Devata or a master. So we pray to them. And then when the breakthrough comes, it becomes an experience for us. So these three are very important words on which we have to do a lot of thinking. So this is what Papa has briefly touched upon. So the first article we will again try, including the editorial, that will give us some more idea. Struggle seems to be an element essential for progress in any field. There is a phrase, pain precedes deliverance. So let us not deprecate the relevance of it. On a closer scrutiny, we realize struggle does help in bringing out potentialities lying dormant within the person, which will help not only the person subjected to go through the struggle, but also a larger segment later. In other words, struggles serve as stepping stones to the zenith of success and peace, to the individual in particular and others in general. Actually, whatever creature comforts we are now using, when a master struggles hard to reach the highest, to scale the heights in spirituality, not only that he is full, he also shares his experience with all of us. Like we are drawing from Papa, So whether it is on the material level or on the spiritual level, struggles serve as stepping stones to the zenith of success and peace, to the individual in particular and others in general. In the field of spirituality also the same case applies. Beloved Papa said every sadhaka's life is a life of tremendous struggle. To conquer the lower nature and reveal the glory of the divine is the purpose of sadhana. The sadhaka, therefore, before he starts on this enterprise, is a mere tool in the hands of the ego. That is why the struggle is there, which dominates and controls him in every way. To destroy the ego sense is not an easy task. A supreme endeavor, backed up by divine grace, is necessary. The mind has to be brought into subjection and all the desires vanquished. Unquote. During the struggles, a stage comes when the sadhaka seems to have exhausted all resources and seeks guidance for moving forward from those who have scaled the heights. Even after this, struggle might continue. At such times, intense prayer wells up in the heart of a sadhaka, seeking direction and protection. Proportionate to the intensity of the prayer and commitment to the goal, the prayer gets answered, and what follows is the experience for which the struggle was started. Therefore, struggle, prayer, and experience form the basis for a successful life in any field. This month's issue of the Vision carries articles on these lines. Spiritual Heroism by Beloved Papa. This is a very, very thought-provoking article which will throw more light on these three aspects. The first quality necessary in a sadhaka when he strives to realize God is a heroic spirit, lukewarm enthusiasm, and a timid march on the path prolong the struggle even after ending in uncertainty and disaffection. Be therefore earnest. Employ all the resources of your being to advance towards the supreme goal. Let your thoughts, words, and deeds have a background of divine consciousness. Steadily practice concentration on God, the 4 steps, until you feel His nearness to you, until you become aware of His presence with you, until you have the vision of Him everywhere, until you realize your oneness with Him. Prayer is an invaluable means of keeping an intimate contact with Him. Taking His name fills your mind with His remembrance. Doing all things in His name brings you still in closer communion with Him. But in all that you do for Him, you ought to be brave. Obstacles should not daunt you. Every unfavorable circumstances should be all the more steel your purpose and strengthen your will. You should be calm and determined, for you have to put up a stiff fight with all the subversive forces that seek to keep you in the thraldom of a relatively ignorant life. With all the intrepidity of your soul, you have to tear off the cloak of animal nature in you, in which you are robbed, and beneath which your intrinsic divine nature is hidden. Be free from lust, greed, and wrath. Feel one with all beings and creatures, for the Spirit dwelling in you and all of them is one. Be a lover of God in humanity. Shake off a body notion. Be aware that you are the immortal Spirit, ever united with bonds of ever united with God. Break loose from false conventions and forms of creeds, cults, and castes. Snap the bonds of out-of-date dogmas and traditions. Like a bird getting free from a cage, soar in the heavens of a blissful infinite consciousness. Be intoxicated with God and realize your identity with Him. Through love, enter into the depths of all hearts. Feel your oneness with them in spirit. See the light of your eternal beloved on the faces of all, high and low, caste or outcast, rich or poor, learned or ignorant. The still and calm spirit at the back of your manifest life is a witness, and this manifest life is a spontaneous flow of the witness spirit, so a selfless flow of service is the keynote of it. Be true to the almighty truth within you. Sacrifice, dedicate, and surrender yourself to Him, and face all dangers and sufferings with a smiling front. No, you and He are not different. Fling the drop of your individual life in the infinite ocean of divine existence. You are essentially divine. Unveil yourself and reveal the grandeur, beauty, and wisdom of your being. You are the cosmic, eternal reality. The struggle we have seen in the life of Papa Mataji, many saints, the struggle is there. And finally, they were able to persevere. There were no vacillation, they were not shaken. In spite of so many pressures from the outside, because of their commitment to the ideal of scaling the heights, they did not dilute their efforts. So struggle is there, and prayer helps. And then what becomes is the experience. This is how Papa assures us, through this article. And then we covered so many bliss of the Atman. One more article of Papa. Everyone who is in the grip of struggle for the attainment of the eternal values of life knows that life's fulfillment and its ultimate fruition depends upon the immortal bliss and peace of the Atman. He further knows that this unchanging truth can be his only when the mind is withdrawn from the external attractions of the world. Only when he has conceived a revulsion of feeling toward the pleasures of the senses, only when the false cravings of his soul for the unstable and ephemeral things of life have ceased and disappeared. These are the necessary conditions for the realization of the immortal peace and joy of the Atman. We are not condemning the world. Only the control of the sense organs, not to have a free time with the sense objects. Then only this introvert journey or inward journey is possible. He has put it in a beautiful way. It can be it's only when the mind is withdrawn from the external attractions of the world, only when he has received a revulsion, conceived a revulsion of feeling towards the pleasures of the senses, only when the false craving of his soul for the unstable and ephemeral things of life have ceased and disappeared. Sages have declared there is no higher gain in this existence than the bliss of the Atman. When you have once found it, you are utterly free from the clutches of mental turmoil and the fetters of death and misery. Suppose a man has come by a perennial spring of nectar, at which he can quaff to his heart's content, and then satisfy the thirst that parches his soul. Would he hanker after the unwholesome water of dirty ponds that brings disease and consequent pain and misery? If you would really enjoy the blessings of a true and independent life, then by a concentrated and sustained effort, seek the bliss of the eternal. Nothing else in this world can quench the flames of desire that rise and burn in your heart. Liberation is spoken of as the realization of the immortal divinity dwelling within you. Be intoxicated with the joy that never changes, that ever exists. Joy, bliss, and peace are your quest. Independence and freedom are your goals. If you have understood, by ransacking the depths of your desire-ridden heart, the true purpose of your life, you will surely have discovered that nothing short of the attainment of an immortal state would completely satisfy the innate aspiration of your soul. The passing glamours of life, the gilded pleasures that you pursue, are the will-o'-the-wisps that delude the mind and throw you into the poison of ignorance and death. Therefore, seek the eternal. Seek that which never dies, never changes, that which is your real spirit, the one deathless truth of your being. Do not be deceived. Wake up from the sleep of ignorance. Be aware of your eternal self. Tear up the veil between you and your God, and know that you and He are one. Declare with all the joy that you command, I am the all-pervading, indestructible, beginningless, endless truth, whose nature is perfect peace and bliss. I am the self-existent, all-powerful reality. I am the free, ageless, birthless, everlasting spirit. Disease, poverty, fear, and want have nothing to do with me. I am bliss, peace, pure peace. I am the lighter of lights. I am the primeval source of all beings. I am God. There is none but I. Meditate thus until you are inebriated with the thought of your divine state, until you merge and lose yourself in the limitless ocean of your immortal existence and make this human life abundantly blessed. Assertion of our original nature, that is the main theme of this article. And this can be possible only by controlling the sense organs. At the moment, the sense organs are taking us out to the sense objects, which give us temporary joy, no doubt. But then, more than that, we know it is transient. What was attracting us in our childhood is no longer attracting us now. Similarly, what was our priority during our middle age, it is not the priority now. So we keep on changing, Each one losing its charm the moment we get it or attain it. So this we have to be very vigilant, And then as Puja Swami Sachidanand Ji, as Anandashram, when he came, he told the same word to Papa. I don't want to go to the, I am not aware of the Paramarthik, but I don't want to go back to the common run of life because I have seen. It is not giving me any joy. But at the same time, I am not very clear about the other one. That's why I came here. So to first of all, that's a great blessing, He had prepared, God had prepared him. Because the craving for the sense pleasures have left him. So it became easy for him to go through the instructions given by Papa in letter and in spirit. We all go and seek, but keeping our attachment toward the sense objects, its grip on us is terrible. For a moment we may forget. The moment we are out, it again grips. It has its total hold on us. That is why we find it difficult, though we feel it should be done, we are unable to do it. So in this article, Papa is clearly portraying what should be the mental attitude of a earnest spiritual aspirant. And that will end, even that struggle, that will end in the assertion of our own real nature. The last program is, the last para is only about that, be aware of your eternal self. Then he keeps on narrating my original nature.
I am unable to understand the meaning of the word struggle because all of us are doing work. We do work. We go to school, we do everything, but when the external forces are assisting us, we spend less energy. When the external forces are against, then we spend more energy. But I am not able to understand where the struggle. The word struggle is used often. Please explain, Swamiji.
Struggle in every field is there. Suppose we are going up the hill for the first time. Every step we make, what happens at that time? At times, we may feel the body is not cooperating at all. Gasping is there. Heartbeat is more. And then we may feel either we will rest or we will go back. No, I must go. So the struggle is there. I want to go through and then prepare for the exam. I don't know which questions I am going to face. Which portion I have to master. I have to go through and master myself. So I look for so many things. Probably none of the things may have come. But that in that state, what is called that? To find out the real. And when you get the question paper, how to present it, nobody helps you, neither the text nor the teachers. You have to dig it from your own. And then, whether I have presented it correctly, whether I have answered it correctly, Like that in every field, when you enter a professional career, you are absolutely new. The boss says, this is your job allotted to you. You have to, right from Harishri, ABC, you have to seek somebody, some senior. We are talking from our experience. We did not know anything about office work, when we got a job. So whatever he says, that also will not be understood by us. Then we go to a senior man who is sympathetic towards us. How do I begin? He said, you do one thing, start posting this. Clerical job, There we don't have to use anything. As we keep on doing it, our probing nature slowly tries to find out various things. We may commit mistakes. The first letter when we draft, it may be grammatically right, but we would not have presented. Too many prefix and suffix will be there. But when we take the manuscript to the boss, Then he, because he was a good person, he did not say it openly. He said, don't you think it will be presented like this? So the struggle is there at every moment. To make an effort, when we feel we are the inadequacy or insufficiency of our efforts to scale the heights, probably we can name it as the struggle.
Thank you, Swamiji. I am clear now.
Yeah. Struggle to experience the mysterious power by Mahatma Gandhi. There is an indefinable mysterious power that pervades everything. I feel it, though I don't see it. This is very important. I feel it, though I don't see it. It is this unseen power which makes itself felt and yet defies all proof, because it is so unlike all that I perceive through my senses. It transcends the senses. When Papa says, the subtle and mysterious power, Gandhiji has amplified it in a more clearer way. There is an indefinable mysterious power that pervades everything. I feel it, though I do not see it. It is this unseen power which makes itself felt and yet defies all proof, because it is so unlike all that I perceive through my senses. It transcends the senses. I do dimly perceive that while everything around me is ever changing and ever dying, there is an underlying all that change, a living power that is changeless, that holds all there, all together, that creates, dissolves, recreates. This informing power of spirit is God. The truth is that God is the force. He is the essence of life. He is pure, undefiled consciousness. He is eternal, and yet, strangely enough, all are not able to derive either benefit from or shelter in the all-pervading living presence. Electricity is a powerful force. Not all can benefit from it. It can only be produced by following certain laws. The living force which we call God can similarly be followed if we know and follow His law, leading to the discovery of Him in us. God is an unseen power residing within us. There are many powers lying hidden within us, and we discover them by constant struggle. Even so, we may find the supreme power if we make diligent search with a fixed determination to find Him. My God does not reside above. He has to be realized on earth. He is here, within you, within me. He is omnipotent, omnipresent. You need not think of the world beyond. If we can do our duty here, the beyond will take care of itself. So the struggle is there, no? Here also the struggle. The struggle because certain laws are to be. Suppose I put my hand on the switch, suppose it is loose, I get a shock. Suppose you are doing ironing or something like that. Because I have violated the law, unknowingly, not knowingly. But ignorance of law is no excuse. So similarly, to know Him who is behind us, who is within us, who is behind everything, we have to observe certain laws. Why? The question is why He is not revealing Himself, We have not observed certain laws. Then only the curtain can be removed. If I think only about me to me, everything self-centered, selfish, then naturally it will never be removed. Because He stands for universality. He stands for expansion. Everything is there in the Mother Nature, is for all. Air is not given to only one person. In spite of the increase in the population, air is equally giving to everybody. Earth is available to everybody. Space is available to everybody. The sun, sunlight and sun power, solar power, available to everybody. Just think anything, Water is available to everybody. How can we then think about me to me? So this is how he makes us to think. So we have to observe certain laws. When we honestly try to observe the laws prescribed by Shastras or Mahatmas, there is an inner struggle. Because the me to me has been very strong. It will prevent us from moving forward. We would like to follow the words of the masters. Mataji yesterday gave us left and right, remember? Because she was seeing, in spite of telling, in spite of hearing, in spite of prostrating, in spite of adoring that form, we have not understood that her life stands for total expansion, absence of otherness. So that is struggle. Then let us see what Vinobaji says. It is true that good deeds become natural when one always remembers the Lord. But the Lord's command is to keep on striving. Sant Tukaram says, day and night we are required to fight with the world without and within. This conflict is going on relentlessly. It is not that you win every battle. One has to persevere till the end to win the war. It is the final result of the war that counts. During the war we shall succeed and fail many a time, but failure is no cause for dejection. When a stone breaks at the 20th blow, it does not mean that the previous 19 blows had been in vain. In fact, they were preparing ground for the success of the 20th blow. To feel dejected means to lose faith in God. God is always there to support and protect you. Have faith in Him. To develop self-confidence in a child, the mother lets him wander here and there, but she keeps watch. She does not let him fall. If he starts tottering, she is there to lift him up in her arms. God too is watching you. He holds in His hands the string of your life's kite. Sometimes He pulls it taut, while sometimes He lets it loose. But be assured that He Himself is holding the string in His hands. To teach swimming in a river, one end of a rope is tied to a tree on the bank, and the other end is tied to the learner's waist, and then he is thrown into the water. Trainers are there in the river to take care of him. The novice struggles initially, but in the end masters the art of swimming. God teaches us the art of living in this way. So if you continue striving day and night with all the resources of the body and the mind at your command, with faith in the world, the last moment will be extremely happy. We don't have to go to anywhere, we just look at papas, the first few lines of In Quest of God, the stressful period, full of anxiety, full of uncertainty, full of tension. That was necessary to bring out the seer Ramdas from an ordinary Vittal Rao. That was the instrumental cause. God brought those instrumental causes. Otherwise the transformation would not take place in his case. So the struggle helps us. That is the main theme. None of us should get dejected or dispirited because of the struggle. This is the message they give us. The power of persistence by Swami Chidananda. Come out of the cage of your little, egoistical, selfish personality. Renounce and sacrifice this selfish personality at the altar of humanity. Where there is no I, where there is no mind, where there is no selfishness, there is ideal Karma Yoga. It becomes upasana, worship. You can be established in a state where, even though acting, you are no more acting. Karma or work cannot bind you because you are acting without a sense of doership. The feeling I am doing is not there. Rather, he is getting it done through me. You are a witness of your own activity, a witness of your own actions. And the poison of kartrutva, sense of doership, is removed from the activity. It becomes a sublime activity that it is God's will that manifests itself through you. To be established in the state of inner absence of self, one has to diligently pursue a method of sadhana and persist in it, diligently continue to negate the ego, negate the self. It does not come in a day, but it comes if you are persistent. Be firmly fixed. Let nothing shake you. Become so established in your niyama that nothing can move you. Fixity indicates a certain attitude, a state that you have achieved or attained in your interior. You have become strong within, unshakable within, firm within. Beautiful. Fixity indicates a certain attitude, a state that you have achieved or attained in your interior. You have become strong within, unshakable within, firm within. While fixity involves a certain inner state you have reached after much diligence and struggle, tenacity indicates an attitude, a certain inner attitude with which you live your life, engage in your sadhana, and that attitude is a firm resolution not to give up no matter what obstacles come, no matter what setbacks, no matter what disappointments or discouragements. I will not leave my pursuit until and unless I get complete success in it. I shall not give up this sadhana. I shall continue with this abhyasa. I will not give up. This attitude is called tenacity. Having taken up something wise, something good, never to abandon it, never to leave it, to be determined to come out victorious. This attitude is called tenacity. Tenacity is a positive quality, sattvic, never to swerve from your purpose, from your determination. In this way, there should be in the heart of the sadhaka the determined adherence to one's ideals, and one must be established in an inner state which is unassailable, not affected by anything. A person of a very negative nature does not commence any serious undertaking due to hesitancy. Oh, if I undertake this, who knows, afterwards this difficulty may come, that obstacle may come. So thinking, even though he intends to have a good life and do good things, because of this nervousness and fear of obstacles, he never does them. This is not good. There are others who no doubt start doing something good, but when obstacles and troubles come their way, they give it up. But the real spiritual seeker, the real sadhaka, once having taken up something, no matter how many obstacles or difficulties come, how many adverse circumstances face him, he always thinks, no, I will never leave it. I have taken this up, I will see it through, I shall not be deterred by anything. This is the Uttam Adhikari, best qualified aspirant. This is the thing needed in your spiritual life. Fixity of principles and tenacity, never to let go. It leads to success. A seemingly impossible thing becomes possible in the face of sheer, persistent abhyasa, regular, unfailing, unbroken abhyasa. It breaks down all barriers. It breaks down all obstacles on the way. It overcomes all hurdles and reaches the goal. This is the type of nature that the sadhaka should seek to develop within himself. In that lies the guarantee of his success. Power of persistence, no? In other words, the struggle should never puncture his enthusiasm, no?
Swamiji, வைராக்கியம்
Vairagyam.
You don't tell it. Can we take it as Vairagyam?
Vairagya and Abhyasa go together. But the moment we bring the word Vairagya, so many other concepts we have developed, எல்லாத்தையும் விட்டு போகிறது அது இதுன்னு எல்லாம். So we start thinking about it. Dispassion. Vairagya means dispassion. So in order that the mind does not get distracted over so many things, we impose certain disciplines, self-imposed discipline, not somebody says. We impose certain self-imposed ones so that our abhyasa becomes steady. Otherwise, the abhyasa will become loose. When our attractions are more, when our priority is shifted, our abhyasa, practice gets slowly diluted. We can go through our own life, That is why at the time of initiation of mantra, this is shared to everybody, that as soon as we take the mantra initiation from Papa, for the next few days we will be charged, we will be in that mood. When we go back to our own field, family, profession and society, there may be at times so many challenging occasions or situations where we may not be able to do it on that particular day. The disconnect has already taken place. So that is why at the time of taking initiation, we request all that they should have in their mind a firm resolve that they will do this much of nama every day. That should be there. Whether it is 10 or 50 or 100 or 1 mala or 2 malas or 3 malas. Just like when we get up, we apply the paste. We take a bath, we change our dress, we have our food. This should also become a part of our life. That is called practice. Because the regular practice alone, it forms a samskara in us. Whatever may be this, suppose we have to get up and go at 5 o'clock in the morning. If this is writ large in our mind, we will get up at 4 o'clock, have our bath and do this discipline, and then only we will start. So this abhyasa indirectly brings the Vairagya aspect. Because you will not prioritize for anything else. So suppose we keep these both words are common. They are always used together. Vairagya and abhyasa. Because one is dependent on others. Otherwise, in ashram probably it might be possible. But the moment we go out and expose ourselves to the various duties, challenges, commitments, this and that, we get shaken. Okay, evening I will come and do. Evening something else will come. Okay, tomorrow I will do. Like that it goes. But suppose we make it a firm commitment, fixity, he was talking about fixity. Chidanji Maharaj was talking about fixity a lot. That is absolutely necessary to hold on. I will do this and then only I will. We were sharing, that Jain who used to observe silence, whatever it may be, immediately after his bath. And then when he goes to the puja room, until he finishes certain portion which sankalpa he has, he will not come out. Whatever may be the telephone call or whatever may be the urgency outside, he will be insensitive to that. It can wait. He will always say it can wait. 15 minutes is, by waiting 15 minutes, heaven is not going to fall down. Suppose somebody is sick, somebody has to be taken to the hospital, somebody will take charge. No, we will not disturb him. So similarly, adherence to vows helps us to have this practice on a regular basis, perseveringly. So that is what is highlighted. And one more article of Papa. easy path to God. At least we are happy to hear this word. No? So far we have been hearing about struggle, struggle, struggle. The question arises in the minds of all spiritual aspirants, which is the easiest way of approach to God. The easiest in the sense it involves no intricate forms of worship and rigorous methods of self-discipline. It must be one simple, efficacious. It must produce it must produce the least strain, and results should be obtained without any prolonged struggle or endeavor. Of course, a keen aspiration to attain the divine goal is necessary. Given this, adoption of an easy discipline of continuous remembrance of God and surrender of all our actions to Him should bring about immediate result. So remembrance, this is what he says. Remembrance. Remembrance of not an outer power. Let us see what he says. Remembrance of God destroys the impurities of the mind, and dedication of the actions to Him eliminates the ego sense. It is now that His hidden light manifests in the aspirant in all its splendor, and he wakes up to the consciousness of his changeless, all blissful existence. This experience leads him to a still greater one, by which he beholds the entire universe as a living and grandiose image of God. Then the aspirant reaches the supreme heights of divinity, who is at once all-inclusive, all-transcendent. Constant remembrance of God is best effected by the chanting of His name. This practice needs no rules or restrictions of any kind. People of all castes and creeds, of all ages and stations, of all races and sexes can have recourse to it. The name works silently on the heart, will, intellect, purifying, elevating, illumining them with the love, light, and power of God. When the name is chanted, the abode of the divine, made of the five elements, is lit up with spiritual effulgence, animating every part of the aspirant's life and being. The difficulty with the sadhaka is he loses contact with God when he is active in any kind of service. The ego sets up a wall between him and the divine. Even works done without any motive give rise to a consciousness of self-doing. When an unbroken stream of God remembrance runs in the mind, actions flow out of him in a blissful spontaneity, leaving no strain, mark, or reaction behind. Now he knows the divine will and power has started its work in him, replacing by its omnipotent the halting and imperfect will and power of the ego. The soul flowers, unfolds the beauty of the eternal and the infinite. He diffuses all around him the radiance of knowledge and the fragrance of love, and in the supreme ecstasy of such attainment, the whole universe is absorbed, and all sense of differentiation and diversity are merged in the one undivided sublimity of the truth. The name is simple. It unveils layers of the deep-seated ignorance that had made us oblivious of His divine existence. It acts with a sure, steady, unfailing purpose. It is the real means for bringing to you a complete state of self-surrender. Even from the start of the repetition of the name, you begin to taste the nectar of immortality. As you go on, your joy increases, and when this joy turns into ecstasy, it takes you beyond the body idea, and you become conscious of the divine within you. Your individual sense disappears as darkness in the presence of the light. When this stage is reached, a sadhaka becomes siddha. The aspirant attains divine perfection. The name brings you self-absorption, meditation, and meditation becomes automatic. You are lost in the sweet rapture of the spirit the moment you sit silent by yourself. The struggle that sadhaka usually passes through to keep the mind centered on the truth is not there for the votary of the name. He starts with joy, walks on the path with joy, reaches the goal which is joy, ultimately becomes joy itself. This is the sweetest consummation, all comprehensive perfection, highest experience of the Godhead, which the name grants. So remembrance, remembrance is the easiest way. It doesn't need any puja, it doesn't need any infrastructure, it doesn't need any prerequisite. All that we have to do is to remember him. And the easy way to remember him is to chant his name with this background. Remembrance, remembrance, remembrance. This should be hammered into our brain. One story, okay. In a house, there was a pot of curds kept in the kitchen. The pot was not covered. Two frogs, one big and the small one, while hopping about, fell into the pot of curds. Both of them struggled for some time to get out, but could not do so. The bigger frog gave up all hopes, kept quiet, sank to the bottom, died. The smaller frog did not give it up. He struggled and struggled for hours together. He was now completely exhausted and therefore kept quiet for some time. By the frog's continuous struggles and his constant movements in the curd pot, the curd was churned. Butter was formed on its surface. When the frog stopped struggling through exhaustion and became still, the butter gradually formed itself into a lump. This gave a chance for the frog to leap out of the pot. It is clear from this story, the struggle or sadhana is essential to secure freedom from the toils of worldly life. You should strive hard to get God, and when you are completely exhausted in the effort, lie still in surrender at his feet. He comes to you as your savior. Papa says in one of his letters, go within for rescue. Ramdas is not merely an external form. He is the powerful truth that dwells within you. External aid for spiritual growth is secondary. Truth has to be realized by internal struggle and effort, which alone can grant you strength and purity. Don't despair. Greater the fight, the more triumphant the victory. Give up doubt and hesitation. Be conscious that the Shakti in you is ever ready to help you. Put yourself in her hands, and you will then be able to offer a concentrated front to the resisting forces of ignorance in the mind. Give up all preconceived notions and superstitions. Have truth alone as your goal. Attain perfect freedom and bliss. Constantly repeat the divine name for control of mind. So that is how that this month, November issue vision covers all these. Struggle, perseverance, how the struggle helps us, Let us never get discouraged or dispirited by anything. Because the assurance comes from the masters, He is there to take us. He is guiding us, protecting us. And through prayer, we try to form the channel of communication. That word of Papa, the quotation, it's a beautiful one. God does not need an intermediary. If you think God can talk through Ramdas, he can talk through you as well. Because you cannot accuse him of partiality. Switch on your wire for direct communication. Why do you deny him in your heart? No? Why do you deny him in your heart? The moment we forget him, we are denying him, Switch on your wire for direct communication. Why do you deny him in your heart? So the whole sum and substance of the entire article, it is to remember him. And the moment we remember him, we are not there as an individual. And when we come back to the sense of individuality, it is a change in individuality. It is not the previous individuality. The previous individuality was not aware of the power within. The change in individuality is fully aware of the power within. That's the difference. Individuality will be there for all practical purposes until the body drops or gets dropped. But there is a change in sense of individuality. That's what we see in the forms of Mahatmas and evolved souls, So we have been asked, as sadhakas, we have been asked to somehow switch on the wire for direct communication. The struggle is, the struggle comes only when the sense organs pull us out, The moment we sit with this idea to somehow get ourselves connected to Him, the outgoing tendencies of the mind, our infatuations, our desires, our cravings, they pull us out and turn us outward, extrovert. After some time we realize we started with this, again we come back. Struggle is there. That is the struggle. The tug of war, So here they have pointed out not merely the tug of war. What is the remedy to get over the tug of war? The remedy is to turn within and to seek constant remembrance. So let this be very clear. The in-depth study of In Quest of God silently teaches us this. All of us have struggles, but all of us have been initiated into developing a form of prayer. And then we have before us the masterly experiences placed before us by people. So we are assured struggle will be there, but with prayer, with perseverance, with faith, suppose we pursue, we will be able to lead a life full of blissful experience. So may He who facilitated us to absorb all these sublime thoughts enable us from within and without to march forward on these lines. Hari Om. Anything else?
Yes. Swamiji, Swamiji, the more we try to go inward, the more outward forces would try to pull us out.
Yeah, natural. That is why we have been asked to intensify our Ram Nam, individual Ram Nam. We are not talking about the collective Ram Nam. On that particular day, we have to do extra Ram Nam.
Yes,
and with a prayer.
Yes, sir.
And we will find.
Heroic approach. What is the heroic approach?
Heroic approach.
Heroic approach, correct. Heroic approach?
He wants to know.
Undaunted, we will not be discouraged. Who is a hero? Hero is he who overcomes all the struggles, all the obstacles. With persevering effort, he moves on,
Swami Vivekananda.
So nowhere he looks back. So such heroic spirit is necessary. Obstacles are bound to come.
Joy, happiness, pleasure, and bliss. These the four expressions. Is there any differences in that? Bliss alone is divinity. Other three are worldly. Am I correct?
That is why Papa has defined bliss as objectless happiness.
Objectless happiness.
That clears everything.
Yes.
So we have to find out whether a particular joy is dependent upon any individual or an object or a situation. If it is devoid of all these things, we are trying to understand what is bliss. Objectless happiness. More about it tomorrow. Already 5 o'clock. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram. Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram. glimpses of the divinity.
Kitty ma, kitty.
Before that, when he was talking about the objectless happiness, Papa even has warned. Nothing, we should not be dependent upon anything, Anything dependent upon, he says, divine name is a ladder by the help of which you ascend to the supreme zenith of the above described state, perfection. When through the repetition of the name, the mind gets dissolved in the ocean of stillness and peace within you, repetition of the name is no longer necessary. Of course, off and on, you can drink the nectar of charming music of the name, but do not depend entirely upon this music for your peace and bliss. Because no joy which is conditioned and dependent can be permanent. So even after a certain state, you remember, Papa was not chanting, he has become one with him, so there is no need for chanting. And he was not depending upon it. I must somehow realize I must somewhere. So ultimately, we should not even depend upon the methodology that has helped us to reach. So that means, that is why he named it as objectless happiness. Nothing is not dependent upon any object, any person, any situation. Om Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, pranams. Namaskaram, Swamiji. Namaskaram, namaskaram, namaskaram. Hari Om.
मैंने लिया था। सर स्वामीनाथन का जोक क्या है? स्वामीनाथन को भी जाने देता, किसी और को भी जाने देता। आपकी कंपटीशन था, तो जो देने वाले बोले आप आपस में बांटे हो गए। तो स्वामीनाथन को जाकर बोला, लेडी कौन लेडी मालूम है? देखो नहीं तो उसमें फर्क क्या है? नहीं किया है तुम क्या, उसमें फर्क क्या है? आप दोनों एक है, तो मैं करूँगा।
बड़ी सुंदर दोनों सबसे पहले यार उत्तर फिर मजा सामने अलग तो क्या नहीं तो नहीं समझे नहीं नहीं तूने बात करती है